Hello, folks. This is Pete from PA Labs, and I'm picking up on video 2, right where we left off, on learning the IDE. So let's see. The biggie that I wanted to get to was your preferences. Now, one of the things I have, and I'm going to show you this real quick here. Let me go to oh, what the heck? We'll use the video game as a backdrop, and I'm not using it for code or anything like that. What I want to do is show you. Well, come on, finish loading. Get there. Today would be nice. Goodness gracious. Yes, yes. I think that was it. We done? We're good. Okay. Now, I want to show you session history. Whoops. Of course, it opens on the other screen. Why would it want to open on my screen? Okay, so this is your session history. Every time you open this up, he starts a whole new session history and starts rolling with it. Okay, so you can come in here and you can drill in based on, I want to see what I did yesterday on this application. And this is the every 5-minute saves. This is, you get unsaved when it crashes or something. And then you can actually come back here and on this particular sheet of code, you can see, oh, this is something I was horse playing with on the GUI demo too. Let's come down here to Game Player. Game Player had more changes yesterday than you can shake a stick at. So we can actually back up to exact copies of the code all throughout the day, every 5 minutes or so, every time he turns around or I make a change, he's updating a different copy of it back here. So I can go to my ending copy. This should be what it is right now. And I can scroll through this and see what it was at the end of the day yesterday. So this is basically a built-in source safe or Git repository for your code as you're writing code built into the IDE. This is a tremendous thing to have. It's a tremendous thing to remember you have because as you go through writing code, you're going to change stuff and then all of a sudden your code doesn't work and you're like, oh my God, what was it that I changed that broke the world? And so you can come back here and remember what what sheets of code you've been in and go back and then compare and contrast your changes. Okay. So I believe you can also drill in on file. Is that right? Oh, these are the actual. Oh, you look at that. You can. We can go to just individual files even and drill into the various copies that it has. This is, I've used this more times than you can shake a stick at in fixing myself from having made stupid mistakes. So, and I say stupid mistakes. Anybody who claims to never make mistakes in code is an enormous liar. Everybody makes mistakes. The cool thing about mistakes is what you want to do is learn from your mistakes. If you learn something from a mistake, then it's a great thing that you made the mistake. So that's my philosophy on it, anyhow. So um, let's see. Moving forward, I wanted to make sure to show you that. And then you can, oh, they have a view changes. Ooh, that might be fun to play with too. I don't use a lot of this, but I know it's here. I use this actually a lot. You can format the indentations. So when you get your indentations all screwed up in a big code sheet, always remember you can come back here and he'll reset it back to being normal and have all of your indentations fixed and stuff. Now you can use markers. This is an important thing as well. And basically I'm looking at two different pieces of code and I'm trying to synchronize something. I can put a marker on one sheet and a marker on the other. And then with just hitting the key, what is it? Jump to marker F2, you can jump back and forth between your markers and not have to go look for code. That's pretty good. Project. This is another mandatory thing for me is the IDE has to have a concept of a project where you put all the code for one application or one system in a single folder structure. Okay, and that's what a project is. That's all it is. Okay, they have a cool little program or code sheet that keeps up. It has its own, it's PBP, I believe, as an extension, and it's a big glorified kind of text field, text file that keeps track of where all the files for this project are. You can get to the project options and stuff here. You can also get to them from the menu structure here or the toolbar here. Um, and you can deal with stuff on your projects. And when we get to starting to write code, then I'll start off by saying we're going to create a project right up front, and I'll walk you through all the steps of that. If you're dealing with forms, you can actually use this form editor. I myself do not use this, but I know there are people who do, and there's nothing wrong with that. Uh, the first thing you got to learn in writing programming is that there's always a million answers to every question, and the trick is finding out what's the answer what are the answers you can provide to whatever the question is, and uh, are you comfortable with giving that answer, really? I mean, everybody has a methodology of doing things and a way of thinking about things, and um, and that's important. So no one person is wrong. If the question is what's 2 plus 2, and everybody knows it's 4, well, if I had to use a calculator to get it, I came up with the same answer as everybody else. You know, a right answer is the right answer, and it doesn't matter how it got derived. Okay, so there's always a million ways to do it. In programming, normally you have two sliding scale parameters that all of your code has to fall into. Is you got to get an answer to the person by a certain date. Okay, so there's a time contingency, and um, then you have, well, how do I phrase this? So you have time and cost is tied together. So you're under a time crunch. You got to deliver the right answer to the users and right solution to their problem. So first you make it work, then you make it slick. Okay. So don't waste time trying to solve a problem by initially starting out to make the slickest, fanciest, because you'll waste all your time making it beautiful and fancy, and then you've missed your deadline and you're wrong because you didn't come up with the answer. First, make it work, and then with the time you got remaining, make it as fancy and as rock solid as you can make it. Those are the criterias of programming that I have always lived by. Okay, so moving on, we have the compiling of your code. You can run it. You can compile targets. We'll get to a lot of these in time. The debugger, you can put your breakpoints in. You can clear your breakpoints. We'll go look at your images in memory. We're going to go look at a lot of this. Uh, so tools are a glorified version of using this over here on the right. All of these options over here are actually options over here on this right panel. Then you have custom tools, and we'll get into some of these custom tools that I've used, and everybody should have something out there, I would think, eventually. And then you have the help system that you can call up or go check for updates and that sort of thing. So um, I think that this probably finishes a look at the IDE and what we're doing. And so our next version step video in this series is going to be starting off programming. How do you begin? Um, so there's largely two programmers fall into two basic camps that I have found in my life. And depending on where you are in development and familiarity with code and design and all of that, uh, people tend to gravitate to one of these two camps. There's a lot of people that cross over, but there's a place they prefer being. And so the two camps are simply you have the maintenance type people who uh, can look at a blank screen all day long and not figure out how to get started. But if you gave them somebody's code, they can tear it apart. They can modify it up one side, down the other, make it, leap tall buildings, fly through the air. They're miraculous at changing code, but give them a blank screen. They have no idea of how to get started. Okay. And then you have their opposite. Okay. And this is where I fall into quite frequently, um, is you have a creationist sort of philosophy. You look at somebody's code and you go, oh, they have a design flaw in that. Let's rebuild it and start over. And, their answer 9 times out of 10 is to begin at a blank screen and reinvent the wheel. Okay. And both of these program concepts and camps are necessary. Um, you have to have the people who can start from nothing and build an empire. And then you got the people who can manage that empire and take it to the next evolutionary step. So both are accurate, both are necessary. One is not better than the other. Um, but you'll find as you go through your development life that you prefer starting with something that already exists, or you prefer to start with nothing and build it from scratch. So that's enough philosophy and enough looking at IDEs here. And next video we'll start some coding.